So I want to talk about Andrew Tate. Let's kind of, I don't really, and let me be clear before I start this, I don't want to focus too much. I'm sure it'll come out a few times, but I want to make a point of saying I don't want to focus on Andrew Tate as a person. He is just a guy who made a lot of money giving men what I think is damaging and bad advice. And I care about the substance of what he says. Andrew Tate himself, I don't like the guy, but he's in a jail in Romania right now. Not worried about him. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay. Let me pull this. Yeah. The name of this video is Andrew Tate's Speech Will Change Your Life. Andrew Tate explains how to get rich. So, off the bat, if you clicked on this video, you've already made a mistake. You've made a mistake in searching out advice to develop a meaningful interpersonal relationship with other people and develop a meaningful life, a meaningful, valuable life to yourself, and you've clicked on a video about becoming rich. This is already going to set you up with the expectation, the understanding that being rich is what gives you value. That's untrue. Being rich does not give you value. You give you value. So, off the bat, already.
3 reasons most of you are never going to be rich. 1, you do not identify opportunity. The opportunity we are discussing now, which happened on the 12th of March, where I bought 600 grand of Bitcoin, which is now worth in excess of 7 million. I've done zero work. Zero. I've turned 600K.
So, off the bat, let's look at this. You didn't identify opportunity. Now, the opportunity Andrew Tate is referring to is having $600,000 and investing it. So far, as I kind of had a feeling, and based on the video's name, it's fairly obvious, but the thing that the thing that distinguished him as recognizing an opportunity was already having money. If you already have money, you can already recognize opportunity and invest on those opportunities. Meaning, without money, you're fucked. How are you where do you go from here? You're already kind of fucked, right? You're already like, well, shit, I don't have 600K. What am I supposed to do then? I guess I'm just boned, aren't I? And this is, recognize the state, the mindset that this is supposed to get you in the mental environment it's going to put you in. Because it's going to be a negative one. It's going to be one that if you're just living a normal life, guess what? Your life sucks. And, you're going to think I'm cliche with saying this, but your life doesn't suck. But you and I both know it can be better. So let's continue.
Into 7 million just because I identified an opportunity. It took me 10 minutes. You're sitting out there thinking, if I just had $1 million, if I could just become a millionaire. That's how easy it is. Now, you probably didn't have 600K to buy Bitcoin like I did. Fine. You could have put 600 in and had 70 grand. 70.
You could have put $600. Do you pay rent? Do you pay rent? Do you have an apartment? Do you have other bills and such? Are there other things that bring you value? Keep in mind, again, with these videos, at the end of the day, it is the abundance of wealth that gives you opportunity and gives you value with this mindset. You are nothing. You have no ability to seize an opportunity. The opportunity that he poses to you is one of just having money and just spending money, just taking risks. Not to say that, maybe you shouldn't, maybe you should have bought Bitcoin back in the early 2000s, back in the 2010s or whatever it is. But if you didn't, who is this for then? How did you miss out on the boat you were never in the same zip code in?
1,000 you could have had from 600. But you do not identify opportunities. This is the first thing you do not do.
Also, I just want to point this out. I'm not gonna harp on this, but I'm pretty sure up on his little corner is his subscription service thing, which, when he says identify an opportunity, realize you're the opportunity. If you listen, if you pay for any of this Andrew Tate content, understand you're the opportunity. Just understand that.
You do not pay attention to the world around you. You just live in your little bubble. You're too busy identify opportunities. This is the first thing you do not do. You do not pay attention to the world around you. You just live in your little bubble. You're too busy arguing with your ugly girlfriend, too busy stressed out about some dumb shit, too busy sleeping in. You don't pay attention. You're not perspicacious.
Is that a word? Okay, I don't know if that's a word. But notice, in this scenario, you're paying bills, you're living life, you have a girlfriend. This isn't even for people who don't have girlfriends. This is for people with girlfriends. And some kind of weird assertion that because you don't have money because you're not rich, your girlfriend must necessarily be ugly. Like, imagine that immediate assumption that a poor person. Have you ever seen some rich people? Have you ever seen any of their wives or any of their husbands? Do you notice kind of a trend? Not all the time, but sometimes, where there are celebrities, there are rich people whose spouses look rather normal. Do you want to know why that is? Do you want to know why some of the richest people have very normal looking wives and vice versa? It's because your girlfriend should be meaningful to you regardless of her or your bank account. You must get out of this mindset that having wealth, being rich, seizing opportunity is somehow a credit to you as a person, to your existence on this earth. Take a step back. I've said this before, and I used to live in a very small studio apartment. I lived in a bunk bed with a couch and, some few stuff. I think this bookshelf might have been there too. Unless this is a different one. No, I'm pretty sure I didn't buy a new one. But I used to live in an $800, way overpriced studio apartment. It was small. It was dingy. It was in the basement of my apartment complex. It was, on a fair assessment, I lived in my own small little bubble. And every once in a while, I would think to myself, I'm living in a space where I don't have a bedroom. I didn't even have carpet at the time. The heating wasn't always great. The AC was, since it's only one room, if I have the AC on, blaring the entire place. I can't hear anything. The actual building quality wasn't great. It's an okay building. My bunk was left me with about, I don't know, like this much, probably about this right here. I had this much space between like the top. Actually, no, it was probably more like this. I probably had like, maybe 3, no, not even, probably 2 feet of space between me and the ceiling. That's how squeezed I was in that bed. It was I look back at it now And there were a lot of issues with it. There's it's small, it's not really the nicest place in the world. But every once in a while, something that I would do is I would take a step back and I would think about kind of where I was at that time. Was I rich? Fuck no. I wasn't making a lot of money either. But a year before that, I was living in an apartment, a 1-bedroom, mind you. I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment that I had to share with my ex at the time. We had to share an apartment. I was sleeping on the couch because obviously we didn't want to share the same bed. But when she was there, I'd sleep on the couch. I'd sleep a lot throughout the day so that we wouldn't interact. And overall, I was rather depressed. I was going to work and staying at work for hour on hour on hour. I'd make sure that I stayed out of the house because I didn't want to be in the same room, be in the same area. And when she moved out of the city and I had to find a place of my own, I landed on this studio. It was small, like I said. It wasn't ideal. I barely had, if I woke up, I couldn't sit up in my own bed. I had to slide out onto the steps until I got about 3 steps down. Then I could kind of stand. It wasn't the ideal scenario, but I would look back. You take a moment when you can in your life and recognize, even if it's small, even if in the grand scheme it's not big, realize how much you've achieved and how far you've gotten and how much you've made your own. Because I went from sharing a space with somebody who I had a very negative relationship with by the end to having my own space where I had my own stuff, my own TV, my own a closet, all of these little things that aren't big, but they got to be mine. And I got to say I had my own living quarters. And again, like I said, it wasn't huge. But take stock of the progress you've made. And don't get so wrapped up into this, you're not rich, you're not this, you're not that. I was driving a shit car that same year. A year later, I now have a nicer car, a car that's not from the 90s now. Has my car had problems? Yeah, I had to replace the brakes. I had to, somebody caved in part of my bumper. I had to get that fixed. I had to buy battery, tire issues, all sorts of stuff. But take stock of how far you've gotten. Instead of this constant need to chase more wealth that, is it meaningful to you? Sometimes, crazy enough, I miss my old studio. I miss my own little apartment. I miss having my own little space. Not because it was materially valuable, but mainly because it was sentimentally valuable. It was a place where I was allowed to live and live very fully, very unobstructed, since it was my own place. And take stock in that stuff. Take more stock of that stuff. Give yourself more credit for the progress you've made and not for the progress you haven't.
This is why you miss opportunities. It's the first reason you're never going to be rich. Second reason you're never going to be rich. Don't buy a house. Rent a house. So oh, but isn't that wasting money? No. What's wasting money is buying a house, giving huge interest rates to a bank.
So this is flat bad financial advice, because when you rent a house, you are paying somebody first of all, you don't know what their mortgage is. So you are paying most likely a majority or a plurality of their mortgage that they will then, at the end of paying that off, sell their home for the full equity. You will end up paying their mortgage and get none of the equity for it. This is bad advice. Any interest rate that you are giving to the bank when you buy a house, you are also giving to the owner of the house when you rent their home. You're like, they're not, nobody who owns a home and then rents it is going to charge you their mortgage without the interest rate that's on that mortgage. If the house is worth $500,000 and you owe $620, and the rent you're asking for and your mortgage is $2,000, I don't know if these numbers are, these specific numbers don't worry about. But if your mortgage is $20,000 or sorry, $2,000 each month, and what, I don't know, maybe $1,700 of that is your mortgage, and $300 of that is the interest on your mortgage, you are not going to charge somebody $17. You're going to charge them all $2,000 if you can. So I don't, like, this is bad financial advice off rip.
And then tying yourself to one geographical location. The reason humans are the #1 species on the planet is because of our adaptability, the ability to adapt. I can go anywhere on Earth. I can go wherever the money is.
So this is a misconception and kind of a misunderstanding of humans' ability to adapt. When people say humans have become successful through adaptation and the ability to move all over the place, we were talking about nomadic people. That's what we were talking about. What Andrew Tate is talking about is constantly traveling around and gallivanting around the world, and quite frankly, paying a lot of money to go spend in hotels, which you're not ever going to get equity from a hotel. I can now let's be clear. If you are someone who would like to travel for a living, if you're like a big traveler person, like well, like, you know, you want to do a traveling blog, whatever, maybe you, whatever, that's different, because that would be not just a career, but that's also there's a format for living nomadically. There's people who live to this day nomadically, but that's not what he's describing. What he's describing is going around the world and just moseying around, which isn't bad, but certainly is not an alternative and not a good financial alternative to buying a home and garnering the equity from that home. There are people I know who bought homes a couple years ago. They've already built up $100K of equity in that home, like already, just like that, in the span of like a year or 2 years. So this is just spend money. That's what Andrew Tate is telling you. Do not invest your money. Funnily enough, he mentioned investing into Bitcoin. He's telling you actively to not invest your money into one of the safest investments, which is the housing market and the house you live in, and instead just spend it on planes, spend it on hotels, spend it on other stuff. Not saying you can do both. You can own a home and travel. Those are things you can do. But you should not be shirking one for the other unless you have a career objective to do so.
The money resides. If the money's residing in Japan, I can go to Japan. If I need to go to Singapore, I can go to Singapore. I can go live in Las Vegas. Wherever I'm gonna get paid, I can go, and I'll just rent. Boom, boom, boom. I ain't got nothing tying me down. It ain't gonna take years for me to buy or sell something.
Also keep in mind, everything he's saying, also remember, which, you know, I think this is fairly obvious, you are hearing the advice of somebody who already has a lot of money and already spends it frivolously and gambles. What Bitcoin is gambling. You're gambling on the possible future value of any Bitcoin. What he is telling you is to not gamble on yourself, but gamble in general. Just keep throwing money at random things until something sticks. And if you know anything about gambling, That doesn't last very long unless you've got a lot of money saved up. And even then, people who do have a lot of money saved up, it still doesn't last very long.
I ain't got to worry about all the upkeep and property maintenance.
Also, let's keep in mind that the economy is globalized. You do not need to be in Japan to really invest or have business ties to that country. The world economy is such that people make deals in different time zones. So, it's...
Buying a house is foolish. Now, I'm not going to lie, I do own this house because I wanted it to be exactly the way I want it, but I'm rich.
I mean, come on. Like, we understand that he told you not to buy a house and then admitted he bought a house because he understands it's a home is the single safest investment that you can make in your life. That is the single safest purchase that you can, investment that you can make. There's a reason why he got it the way he wanted, because that's the advantage of home ownership.
Rich, right? You aren't. So you shouldn't be doing that. Anyway, you do not need to buy a house. It's one of the biggest mistakes.
Have a nice night, Skeptic
It's
Wolf.
a psychological thing that your parents have told you.
Thanks for the compliment, bud.
You own a home. And then I tell people this, and they go, "Oh yeah, but you can always rent it out." You're going to spend $300,000 on a house so that you can rent out for $800 a month. And then every time the boiler breaks, you're going to spend $500 fixing the boiler. And they're going to damage your house. And by the time they leave, you're going to need a whole bunch of repairs. And they're going to be calling you all the time for hassle and stress if they even pay their rent on time. You think that's a good spend of $300 grand? Do you know what else?
So, this is another one of those. This is also why, by the way, you shouldn't be buying houses as speculative assets. If you want to buy a house, or if you want to live somewhere, buy a home. If you want to invest in something, do it in the stock market. Separate your investments, your financial investments and all that sort of stuff. Separate that from your day-to-day assets. Meaning, you wouldn't bet on your car. You wouldn't invest on your car. It's foolish or something. I don't even know how that would work. But don't do that with your home. Make the place where you lay your head down every night yours and yours alone. Now, there are situations where I understand people do rent their houses out for economic reasons. That I understand. But if you can, sleep in the place that you own. Sleep in the place that you own.
You could do with $300 grand? Buy Bitcoin. Revolutionary.
So, this is also, understand, when you buy a home, you're not buying cash. Remove that from your mind. Because he just said, understand. He just said buy Bitcoin instead, right? Which, Bitcoin specifically, bad investment, right? We understand that, not a great investment, especially now. Now you can say, oh, well, back in like 2015, maybe if you bought Bitcoin, sure. A okay investment until now when it's kind of crashed in value a lot. But let's talk about right now. Right now, can you go to the bank and ask for a $300,000 loan to buy not just stock, but crypto? Will the bank give you that money? Fuck no. Will the bank give you that to buy a home? Fuck yes. So what he's already talking about is a solution that is not available to you. It's not. The reason why a bank would loan, assuming they do and they wouldn't, I doubt. The only reason a bank would consider loaning to somebody like Andrew Tate $300K to bet on Bitcoin would be because his accumulation of wealth gives them the false security that he will deliver returns. You, as an average person, as the averagest, normalest dude out there, you do not have that kind of trust. You are just a normal guy. The return on investment that they think they will get out of you is not what they will get out of Andrew Tate. And that's the bet that they make. And they're open to make that bet. But if you walk into a bank and tell them I want 300 grand and I'm going to put it on Bitcoin, or you don't tell them, you're not getting the money. So already he's giving you a solution that you can't act upon. You can't even use.
Your real estate can be on the blockchain instead of out here. Because when it's on the blockchain, it can be sold instantly. You ever tried to sell a house? It takes years. Ever tried to sell Bitcoin? It takes seconds. So this is the second reason you're never going to be rich. Because all your ideas and concepts of how wealth is created are outdated. 3, the third and most important.
Outdated. This is also the danger. Guys like Andrew Tate and to a degree Jordan Peterson, although I do think Jordan Peterson gives better advice, definitely better advice than Andrew Tate. But you hear this and you think, you might be thinking, oh, well, if I want to be rich, I invest in crypto. And the reason why you're thinking that is because you want something fast. And the reason why Andrew Tate's messaging works so well is because he's giving you a fast, a easy, and a thoughtless way to address your problem of finances or of what's the word I'm looking for? Finances or relationship advice. This is obviously a video more about the economics, which is important. But understand, you've heard before to be worried about people that give you the answer that you want and not the answer that you need to hear. I think everybody here understands that the answers you want to seek out are not always the ones you want to hear. You don't want to hear that it's going to take time to grow a career. You don't want to hear that it's going to take time to, grow your portfolio, to learn a skill. You just want it. You want to be good at it now. And you want to be rich now. You want to, I already forget the first thing I said. But my point being is that you're going to need to swallow the hard pill that it's going to take time. And I know that sucks. And I know that it's an unattractive answer. But there is no get rich quick scheme that will ever work for you, because by the time somebody's explaining it to you, it's already past. By the time somebody is explaining you their get rich scheme, it's already over. Too many people have already tried it, and too many people have made it fail. It's why Bitcoin is where it is today and not where it was 10 years ago. Be weary of people giving you easy solutions.
Important reason you're never going to be rich is because you do not have a plan. You do not have a plan to get rich. Nothing good has ever happened on accident. Have you ever met a guy who's just got covered in muscle, he's got a six-pack? You're like, hey bro, how'd you do that? You've been going to the gym. No man, it was just an accident. Oops. No, he built that body purposefully. He did things specifically to get the result he desired. He ate a specific way. He trained a specific amount.
Now, this is not awful advice. You should have a plan, and you should know clearly what your goal is. That is something that I think people tend to struggle with, is figuring out what it is, what their endpoint is. You need to figure out your endpoint and then do things to work to that endpoint. If that's, being in incredible shape like this guy is, cool, wonderful. You're going to need to learn how to get in that kind of shape. But, you know, it's good that, you know, having plans, this is actually the best advice he's had out of the three of them, mainly because it's vague and it's just have a plan, do things with a purpose, have an end game.
He knew exactly what he was doing. Every rich person knows exactly what they're doing. People who are making money know exactly how to do it.
Now, this is where he lies. Because you've been in a situation where somebody in either the company you work for or maybe somebody at your school who has a lot more money than you. But shockingly, if you've ever talked to them, I'm sure you've had this experience where you are left dumbfounded by the idea that that person is either in charge or in the position that they're in or has the money that they're in. And the reason for that, and one of the key factors that you need to remember when it comes to being rich, two things. One, you are not more valuable if you're rich. Two, at no point does your amount of wealth have any bearing from a correlative or causative perspective on your value, your intelligence, your person. And this is why. You might say, but like if I have money, I can buy the things that I think bring me happiness or give me what I see as valuable to my life. Which I can understand that. As somebody who collects records, I understand that. Spending extra money on a better version of Steely Dan's Can't Buy a Thrill does bring me more joy than going out to like Target and buying the Target version. I can understand that. But that's a commodity. And the problem that you're running into if you have this mindset is that you don't know how to assess your life in its full entirety and in its whole, separated from your material goods, from your commodities. As much enjoyment as it is for me to buy a expensive copy of a record that I like, I've found more enjoyment by buying and listening to records that I have had a hard time finding, or ones that even aren't hard to find. I have a Django Reinhardt vinyl that I really enjoy. Who that is a inspiration to he was a jazz artist from France during the, I believe, 1950s or so, that inspired some of the kind of musical motifs in BioShock, a game that I absolutely love. And as much as I would like a audio files copy of Can't Buy a Thrill, as much as I enjoy that, there's so much more meaning, personal value in my Django Reinhardt record, because I found that through an experience and another piece of media, which made me appreciate a different, like, a musical style, and then searching out and trying to find that specific version in the record with that specific version. Drawing value from commodities is understandable, but you must always be in front of that value assessment. You must be making that assessment, not somebody else. Don't let somebody tell you that a Lamborghini would mean more to you on the basis that it's a Lamborghini. When I got rid of my old busted ass 90s, what was it? I think it was a Lincoln. I felt bad to a degree. And the reason I felt bad is because I've been driving that car since I moved into a new town, and I spent a lot of time with it. It was a busted ass car. It died on me. That was kind of annoying, but when it was time to say goodbye to it, I had attached a lot of value to the freedom it gave me and the opportunities it let me take advantage of. Value needs to come from you, not from your wallet.
You're sitting there saying, I want to be rich. You don't even have a plan to get rich. How the fuck are you going to get rich on accident? How's that going to happen? Oops, I'm a millionaire. Never. One of the
Okay. We're gonna shift to this one only really because that one's a lot of economics, which is important and stuff. But I want to switch to what I would let's see. Yeah, if I remember correctly, this should be more of what I'm interested in the Andrew Tate conversation. Let's go back real quick. So, keep in mind, like I said, the issue I have with Andrew Tate's rhetoric, besides his person, but the issue I have with his rhetoric is go ahead, Skeptic Wolf, hit me with it, is Andrew Tate needs you, the viewer, the person who's a fan of him, to assess your life by his standards, which you should absolutely 100% never do. You should not be looking for somebody else's evaluation of your life that don't, especially if they don't know you. If you don't know that person, compared to MLK Jr., oh my God, cringe. If you are you're a normal kid, you're going through your life like normal, you should be looking toward the people in your life to show you how valuable your life can be. We'll do something, Skeptic, we'll do something Monday? I remember you said Monday was good. We'll figure something out, I promise. But the assessment of your life should be based on your boundaries and on your boundaries and on your grounds, not on somebody else's. That should be the number one thing. So all that aside though, let's get into whatever this one is.
If you're in a trench and you're under fire, the least productive person is the person who goes, they've got too much artillery, we're going to die. Shut the fuck up. We all know. Shut up. That's not helping us, right? It's very infectious. So, and most people understand, they say, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Yeah. Then why the fuck are you spending time with negative people? Or people who complain? Or unhappy people? Or unlucky people? Or negative people? Stop talking to them. Everyone I talk to is like, yep, we are winners. All we do is fucking win. Oh, the Matrix attacks us. Oh, you think I need YouTube? You think I need YouTube? Get fucked. That's who we are, right?
So, there is a kernel of truth in this, in the sense that there are going to be people in your life that are negative, that do dwell in negativity. Not to say that you should excise these people and you should not engage with these people, but he is right in terms of the fact that you in your head need to get out of negative spaces, and you need to begin to approach the world from a positive perspective. Now, the problem is what Andrew Tate is communicating is a resentment of other negative people. And what resentment does to you from a mental standpoint is makes you hostile to others, makes you angry with others. Do you notice that he is mad? He's upset. He's angry. This guy, as much as he wants to talk about being positive, is he positive about those people? He's not. He's what we would call in my neighborhood, where I grew up in the streets, an asshole who surrounds himself with people who vapidly say LARP as positive individuals. There's a difference between positive. If you've ever heard the term, there's a term, positive and negative freedom. What positive and negative freedom as terms try to communicate is the differentiation between freedom, which is good and brings positive outcomes for everybody around you, or at the very least the most amount of people, and negative freedoms. Negative freedoms are freedoms that produce harm. Freedoms that create not just an antipathy in you towards others, but an antagonism within society. And what Andrew Tate is talking about, and the type of people he's talking about, I would say are, I don't know if there's a term or if this is a term, but they are positively negative people, or negatively positive people, maybe is more appropriate. These are people who are not positive and are not happy. These are people who affect what they think is supposed to be happiness as a way to function and to affect success. That's not what you want. What you want is genuine happiness and genuine positivity. You can do this very easily, actually. You do not need to leave your negative friends behind. You do not need to resentfully lash out at them. Here's what you need to do. If you are in a situation where your friends are being negative, be honest, be open. Tell them, look, you guys are being really, really negative. You guys are actively choosing to dislike things, to define yourselves by the things you dislike and by the things that bring you frustration, pain, resentment, regret, any of these things. And you need to make it clear that that's not the life you want to continue to live. And unless you think it's the life they want to live, you should express to them, if they're important to you, that you would like them to also get out of that negative space. Everybody should want the best for everybody else. I want the best for everybody. But the best doesn't always mean everyone's always going to be happy. But the best can produce the ability for everybody to be happy. It's equality of opportunity, not outcome. You do not want to surround yourself with people who are pretending, who are affecting positivity. You want people who are actually positive, people who enjoy their lives. And you won't start that. You won't be able to grow that for yourself if it doesn't come from a positive place.
So this was when I was young. I was about 23 years old. I had a new girlfriend. Her name was Carrie. And her ex-boyfriend, I stole her from her ex-boyfriend. And if you're a man, you
the fuck just
understand that no woman's truly single. You're always...
Sorry,
I had a new girlfriend. Her name was Carrie. And her ex-boyfriend, I stole her from her ex-boyfriend.
Okay.
And if you're...
So, already, what this is should be a red flag to you. Not because his this girl left or cheated, or it seems like they didn't cheat, but left this other man for Andrew Tate. The thing that should give you a red flag is the verb of steal. You as a person should not be looking to steal anything from anybody. That should be a fundamental kind of understanding. It's not healthy to go around and see the world as transactional, as people as items to manifest, or I guess not manifest, to what's the word I'm looking for? To exercise your ego or your masculinity, you know, or your machismo, I guess. Not even masculinity, just machismo. You don't want to go about your life going after others. You want to gain value to your life through your being, not through other people's property, relationships, whatever it might be. These are negative groundings for somebody not even being successful, but living happily.
If you're a man, you understand that no woman's truly single. You're always stealing her from some other guy, or she's still half talking to her. Oh, bro, she's half talking to her.
This is just plain insecurity. This is plain insecurity. Andrew Tate says this. Andrew Tate says this, hoping that you focus on the fact that he stole, right? When what he is actually demonstrating is pain and is hurt. Because deep down, Andrew Tate doesn't trust anybody. Do you want to be that? Do you want to distrust people who you put your time into? Does that seem healthy?
To her ex, or she's dating 10 guys, are always out competing other men, right? So stole her from some dude got heartbroken, had no emotional control, like all the things we talked about. I was at her house. My car was outside her house. I was with my boy, Tony, my ex-friend. Me and Tony are in her house. She's talking to her friend. I'm talking with Carrie. We're all having fun. It's Friday night. 4 cars pull up. Boom, 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 boom. These 6 guys get out with hammers. Knock on the door. It's her ex-boyfriend. Carrie starts panicking. He's crazy. He's crazy. I was like, listen, relax. I go outside with Tony. There's 6 guys with hammers. It's me and Tony, right? And he goes, bro, I don't even give a fuck about.
Okay, we're going to stop this for 1 second. I really hope he tries to give me some story where he John Wicked everybody. Because that would be hilarious.
Harry, but you're going to say sorry to me. I said, sorry for what? Because you stole my girl, you're going to say sorry. And then we'll just go away. I said, I'm not going to lie to you, my friend. I'm not sorry for fucking anything. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm sorry.
So what he's actually describing is that individual, that man, and we're going to stipulate that this wasn't a scenario that he was cheated on. If the scenario is true that she went from dating one guy and then dated Andrew Tate, that male, that guy who showed up with 6 people with hammers, that guy was insecure. That guy was insecure, was an insecure man with an inability to look inward after a relationship. And Andrew Tate, obviously, I mean, is this story true? I really, really, really highly doubt it. But, you know, this is insecurity. And what he's describing, the story he's telling, is all it is insecure men interacting with other insecure men. That's all we're hearing right now.
And then my friend Tony next to me. And when I said that, I swear to God, when I said that in real time, because I don't take my eyes off the enemy, right? There's 6 of them, but they're all facing me directly. So I was looking in their eyes directly. When I said that, I saw all of their eyes go, shit. You ain't gonna say sorry. So now we have to actually attack him with hammers. Do we actually want to attack him? At the time, I was British kickboxing champion. I was known in my town. They knew it was gonna be messy, right? And I had one hand behind my back as well. I had nothing.
Yes, because kickboxing will totally work against somebody with a hammer. Gotcha.
Just
I had nothing in it.
who knows what's back
Nothing
there?
in my head. I was like, you had to do something, right? So they're looking at me and they're like, fuck's sake. We thought he'd say sorry and he didn't. Now what do we do? And Tony pipes up. Fucking dickhead Tony. Hey man, why don't you just say sorry? And as he said that, I saw all of their faces almost lit up. Because he inspired, the other team showed weakness, inspired weakness on our side. And from complete capitulation, they were now brave again. Because Tony ran his mouth. I swear on my father's grave, I'm standing there. Tony said that. I turned, I fucking smacked him, strained his mouth, knocked him out cold.
Tony, don't.
Tony, my own friend.
Insecurity. Once again. What this is insecurity. Now again, I don't really think this story is true, but we'll stipulate for now. Was his friend playing a positive role in this scenario? Yes. De-escalation. You see, Andrew Tate will tell you that de-escalation is weakness, that every interaction is a battle, is a battlefield between you and every other man. But it's not. And it's also not a way that you should be going about any interactions with not just anybody, but your friends. Because you see, what this story is at the end of the day telling you is you need to have friends around you who either don't question you and don't challenge you, or you need to have people around you, friends around you, who you control. The loss of control is the thing that Andrew Tate is actually talking about. The thing that he is actually concerned with is control. And you'll learn really quickly that you can't control everybody. You can't control most things. And it's scary. It's scary to think of how little control you have over so many aspects of your life, right? It's not fun. It's not fun being out of control of so many things. It's not fun being out of control of your wage. So meaning that you're out of control of your ability to maybe take a nice girl out. Can you date if you don't make enough money? Nope. I guess if you don't make enough money, then you can't do that. But you can't control that. You can't just simply make more. You've got to work. Well, you can work harder. You might get rewarded by that, but you might not. You could move jobs, but same scenario. You might make more, you might make less. You might find that the job market isn't going to go your way. Control is the thing that Andrew Tate is terrified of losing, and it's what he wants you to be terrified of also losing. What he is, and this is the convenient part for him, he's selling you control. He's selling you fake control with his platform, with his little subscription thing. He's selling you the illusion of control, because the truth that control is out of your hands for many things is too scary. And I get it. I absolutely get it. But the first step to understanding control is to understand that you can't control everything, but you can control yourself, and you can control some things, and learning to recognize what you can and cannot, and making the most impact you can from understanding that. That's also incredibly important. Something that Andrew here isn't really concerned with. He is concerned with grasping onto every single thing he can. If he can control the women in his life, he's happy. If he can control the friends that he has, he's happy. It's small. Andrew Tate, at the end of the day, reveals himself to be a small person.
my own teammate against the 6. I knocked him out cold.
I don't need you now,
I
Tony.
knocked him out. I said, fuck him and fuck you. I'm in the house. And I walked in the house and I saw them all stand around outside with hammers, look at Tony asleep, and go back in the cars and fuck off. Swear to God, that's a true story. If you're weak near me, you make me weak. I refuse to accept it. I give you a million stories of this. 2 years ago, maybe, we were in Munich. They called the police on me for not wearing a mask. That's a whole nother story. I told them to get fucked as well. We're in Munich. Wasn't wearing a mask, blah, blah, blah. We got drunk in the Kapinski, got really drunk, blah, blah, blah. I was drinking with some guys I kind of knew. In the morning, the police had come. They were threatening to arrest us all because we didn't fucking capitulate and we're 8 masks.
Man, he probably knows what this feels like, but like fully this time. This time they were like, nope, you're just coming with us.
The Germans are weird. So we got in our cars, got in our we had 2 Raris, got in the Raris, we're heading back to Bucharest. We drunk loads. We were really, really drunk. We stopped at the gas station. We all got out of the car. One of the guys was like, bro, I feel so sick. Oh, man.
Also, what is this accent?
Walked to the gas station. I said, and I went up to him. My brother talks about this all the time. He goes, and I pat him on the back and said, bro, if you're going to keep walking like a fucking injured antelope, you're going to stay here. We drunk booze. We all feel like shit. I'm not walking around Earth with some dude. I don't want you in my group. I don't want you getting in my car. I don't want you near me. When I walk with my team, you look and go, let's choose someone else. Let's choose another group.
So, I don't need to see the rest of this. I think we all kind of get the gist of this. What Andrew Tate is mostly talking about here is hey, I didn't mean to click that. Is a desire to appear at all times as strong as, you know, the strong, the leader, the, you know, the ultra masculine man. He wants to be like, you know, the front man of any group that he's in. Do you know how tiring that is? Honestly, do you know how tiring it is to constantly, when you go out in public, feel the need to be the loudest, be the funniest, be the fastest, be the strongest, be the whatever? Do you know how tiring that is? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But let me tell you something. You will end up finding that when you enter into group dynamics with friends, with mutual friends, with acquaintances, with anybody like that, you're going to find that while you're trying to outpace every other male in your vicinity, to be the funniest, to be this, to be the one who drinks the most, be the one who talks the loud, whatever that might be. While you're doing all of this, you know where your mind isn't? Your mind isn't talking to maybe a attractive woman that you met at the bar. Your mind isn't hanging out with your friends and having a good time, having fun. Being able to tell a story that you can look back on and remember the good times. Because the thing you're going to be focused on is waiting for your next moment to speak and waiting on your next moment to peacock of it, essentially. You need to look at other people not as measuring sticks, not as jumping off points, not as templates for, you know, how to act or benchmarks to try to pass. The only thing you should really be worried about, if you're going out with your friends or anything like that, is having a good time. Because there is nothing more unattractive And I mean this. There is nothing more unattractive than than being in a group of people at like a bar setting or hanging out and being the person who always has to be at the center of attention, who always wants the eyes to be on them. There's nothing more unattractive than that. And there are people who like being the centers of attention. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is you always trying to outpace your friend next to you. Not because you like it, not because you like the attention or you like being entertaining, but because you think that you're more valuable if you're funnier than your friend. And, you know, I said earlier that this is kind of a goal of mine, to make this not a platform necessarily, but take more time out to talk about this stuff. But this is one of the aspects. You need to start approaching your relationships with friends and romantic partners with less of a objective, transactional mind. You need to be able to enjoy being around your friends even when you're not doing well. Because you're not always going to be things aren't always going to be going your way. Sometimes things will suck. But you do not want to be in a position where, your life's going okay, but, if you can just be funnier than your friend, you can grasp onto that one little thing. Don't be selfish like that. And don't use your friends like that. It's not only is it not appropriate, it's not going to help you. Because the minute they're gone, the minute you head home, you don't have anybody to compete against. Now it's just you. And you're going to feel that emptiness when you get home and you have nobody to measure yourself against. Which is why you should always be who you're measuring yourself against. Not your friends, not people like Andrew Tate, not professional athletes, not celebrities, not rich, fucking crypto bros. Not any of these people. You are the benchmark for you. Because that's the only one that you're going to actually live with. It's the only one. The thing that they tell, like at the end of all YouTube videos where they tell you to click on one of these things to watch more videos. Yeah, I've been meaning to film one of those. So that's what I was doing. I was just setting it up to film one.